Real vibes. What's up, Malaysia? We're right here at the QI Tower, Petaling Jaya, Selangor in Malaysia. We are super excited today because this is the first episode of our new channel that we've created for QNET. It's called Real Vibes, the People's Channel. And today we've also got an amazing special guest with us who's going to share his story with us. Mr. Trevor Kuna here. So please say hi to people out there.
Yeah. First of all, you don't have to call me Mr. Trevor Kuna. Everybody knows me as Trevor Kuna. No relation to Kuna Seneti Raja, by the way. All right. I know that we might look alike, but there's no relation between me and V partner Kuna Seneti Raja. Thank you very much for inviting me to the very first episode of Real Vibes. I've seen how much effort and love and care you put into having this studio and getting the team around here to capture the behind the scenes, the real DNA of the company. So I really appreciate what you're doing here, Bala. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you, Trevor. So soon we'll hear Trevor's story because it's a very iconic story for us, and to really be a part of someone like that who's been enriching us in many different ways in our business and teaching us a lot of different aspects. So to inform you a little bit about what this channel is really about, it's about people. People in terms of people who are with us in the network, thanking all of the amazing people across the world that has supported us. People in terms of all of our special partners, Man City. We have Rhythm Foundation, which is our philanthropic arm, which is so important to our business. And it's really about each and every one of us raising ourselves to help mankind. And so we'll be bringing guests from Rhythm Foundation as well, and multiple different people from the network. We will also have, at some point, one of your favorite people we know. We will be having Chief and, of course, our founders, Dato Sri Vijay Ishwaran, hopefully. Yes, thank you, Trevor. Trevor's going to do that for us. He's a very busy man. Trevor's going to do that for us.
Dato Sri Vijay is a very busy man. You can imagine when he's kind of split between executive chairman of QI Group and also managing V partner and grand upline of the global network. So if he would be on this show, that would be absolutely incredible. And Mr. Bismarck on this show, I mean, we got to work these schedules out. Maybe we'll have to move Real Vibes to their house and try to do something there. So where do you want to begin?
So we really want to touch on this key point about people, right? And this is really related to what Dato Sri Vijay and Mr. Bismarck has really shared with us. They tell us that this company is not about the business itself. The business is just a piece of paper that we have that documents that we're a legitimate organization. Yeah. But really it's all about the people that make this company. This company doesn't move unless we move as people together efficiently from different parts of the world. When we've got an organization that has so many different places that we're working in, how do we make all of the people and all of those areas come together? So,
So what's your question?
So you're
talking to everybody here, but what's your question? You invited me to hear you talk or what, bro?
So your question today, Trevor, is more about yourself. So You are an iconic person for us. So we want basically for you to share your story with everyone so that we can kick off Real Vibes with a story that everyone really wants to hear about. So one thing for you is, can you tell us, how you really started and how did you actually become in this world of QNET, please?
First of all, I think Dato Sri is iconic. I think Mr. Bismarck is iconic. Chief Patman is iconic. I am merely one of the students. I would never use the word iconic describing me because I am who I am, not only because of the master plan, but because of Dato Sri Vijay, because of Mr. Bismarck, because of Chief, also because of JR. Many of you know and love. When I reflect, there are some days where maybe I'm on a flight, or maybe I'm just about to fall asleep, or maybe I'm in the gym, and the thought crosses my mind about how grateful I am that the universe presented this opportunity to me. And I go back to the master plan. Dr. Sri Vijay, Chief, they talk about the master plan where when you're born, there's this kind of blueprint or like a map of your life that's already pretty much determined. And based on the choices, you either go this way or this way. And I'm originally born and raised in Canada, and my uncle and my mom, they immigrated from Poland in 1962 to Canada. And I never really spoke to my uncle because he wasn't living in Winnipeg. He was living in Edmonton, and then he moved to Hong Kong in 1985. And he'd come in and out to visit during Christmas. And he's a very abrasive personality, but very loving and caring. So we would have conversations once in a while, but my mother is the exact opposite of Richard. And so Richard, when he moved to Hong Kong in 85, he worked for several network marketing companies, had his own business. I mean, I remember when I was maybe 10 or 11, he asked my mom, send him to Hong Kong. So my parents put me on a flight. I was an unaccompanied minor.
At the age of 10?
At the age of 10 or 11. It was like 1990 or something. And they put me on a flight to go to Hong Kong and spend 3 weeks with Richard. That was traumatizing for me because he didn't know how to raise kids. So you imagine this guy who's pretty much an entrepreneur. He was running his own business. He was doing MLM. He was doing all this stuff in Hong Kong. He accumulated lots of debt. I remember him taking me to one of his offices where he had stacks and stacks of unsold product, and then he kind of delegated the care of my time, or like basically he gave me a babysitter, which was I think one of his friends, and at the time his girlfriend, and so I didn't really get to spend time with him. But the moments that we got to spend time, he was very aggressive, and so I always remembered him as somebody that was just not a nice person, because I was so used to my mother and my father, very gentle and all that, and then Richard very abrasive. So we didn't really get along, if you will. Then I grew up, and he would come, to visit us in Canada every once in a while. And I was 16. He would, what are you doing with your life and all this kind of stuff. And obviously he wanted the best out of me because I was his only nephew. He was my only blood uncle. So obviously there was some connection, and the way he expressed it was still, very aggressive and domineering. But it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm not interested anymore because you're just being, I don't want to say the word, but it starts with the letter A. All right. So it got to the point where we didn't talk. And then in 1999, I believe it was, my grandmother passed away, his mother. And he had to fly all the way from Hong Kong to attend the funeral. And we hugged and we kind of made amends and all of that. And he said, hey, listen, it was 99, 2000. He said, hey, listen, you should come to Hong Kong and work for my company that I'm working for now. There's a guy called VJ, and there's a guy called Japa, and we're doing some really cool stuff. And my dad said, oh, no, my son is not going to go to Hong Kong and work for your company, and it's selling gold coins. I don't believe in this kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. So my dad was feeding me, this perception that Richard is working for a fly-by-night company. But I remember Richard was on calls at night with the Hong Kong office, and he was hammering in terms of confronting and like, why don't you make a decision? Why can't you do this? So he was he was working at such a high intensity. So that was 99, 2000. And then we didn't really talk for like 7 years. I went through university, I went through college, I went through different types of internships and jobs here and there. I was doing a bit of freelance, had my own little web design company, because at that time...
This is in Canada?
This is in Canada. At that time, internet was just getting started. So I was doing a lot of work for small businesses, designing their websites, their e-commerce shopping carts and all of that. So that was fun for me, because my friends were going to an office and I was working from home.
Yeah.
And that's 2001, 2, 3, 4. Then worked in radio, and that was really cool. I worked for a classic rock radio station, and I was their promotions and multimedia manager.
You do have a bit of a radio voice, Trevor, actually. It's got that tone.
Yeah, yeah. People say I have a face for radio. Yeah. So I was doing that. That was a lot of fun. You can imagine. I was responsible for managing, the ticket distribution for concerts and managing the promotions of concerts, and I was able to meet so many different bands. I got to meet my favorite artists, which was absolutely a gift. But it got to the point where I was like, okay, I can predict my life. Every weekend it was going to be parties. Every weekend it was going to be a little bit of this, that, and the other. And so one day I came home from a golf tournament. Radio stations usually do golf tournaments to kind of, have fun with their clients and whatnot. But I got home one day, and I'll remember that. I was like, what am I doing with my life? I mean, there's no challenge. I don't feel like, I just don't feel like I'm growing. I feel bored.
Yeah.
And so I called my mom and I said, can you give me Richard's number? Because the first thing I thought about was, because Richard had offered me a job in 99, 2000. And I said, no, my dad, of course. And so I said, let me have Richard's number. She's like, why? I said, well, I just want to talk to him. I want to see, what he's up to and if there's something that is available in Hong Kong. So she gave me the number. I called him. The first thing he said was, who's this? When he answered the phone. I said, this is Trevor. I said, oh, what do you want? He said, well, I need a change. I need a challenge. I want to know if your offer still stands 7 years later.
Wow.
This is 2007. This was like May, June, July 2007.
Did he say what offer?
No, he obviously, what offer. But the interesting thing is, he said, look, I'm not going to help you get a job. I want you to put your CV together, and I want you to sell all your stuff. Sell your condo, your belongings, and pack your bag. Buy a one-way ticket to Hong Kong, and come over here, and we'll see what we can do.
Wow.
And the next thing he did was, listen, I'm going to send you a book. And I want you to read that book and think about things before you arrive. And that book, it was a PDF version of the book. It was Fear of Silence, which is, of course, Dr. Sri Vijay's first book that he published in 2004. 2006, 2004. So you can imagine, I'm 28. And I have all these friends, I have a very comfortable life, but I had to make a decision. Yeah. So I said, there's no other opportunity like this. I had the first chance in 2000, now I'm going to take it. Got on a flight October 25th. October 26th is my birthday. So I'm literally turning 29 while on the flight, which was actually quite cool. And so I landed in Hong Kong, and I spent a couple of months backpacking throughout Southeast Asia. And then in December, I met JR. JR interviewed me. And then the CEO or the COO at the time, Dave Osh, interviewed me.
JR in Hong Kong?
Yeah, in Hong Kong. But JR was based in Bangkok, but he was constantly flying in and out of Hong Kong because a lot of the business was being managed by Hong Kong office. And he asked me, what's your specialty? What are you qualified in? I said, well, I'm qualified in marketing communications. That's what I do. I'm a writer, copywriter, advertising, marketing, promotions, everything. He says, okay, why don't you come work for me in Bangkok? I said, okay, that would be cool. And imagine, the only kind of exposure I had to Asia was Hong Kong when I was 11. Before that, I was in Fiji with a buddy of mine, but didn't really have any understanding of Thailand. So I said, okay, fine. So I moved to Thailand. My first job in the company, QNET, was a copywriter, junior copywriter.
Wow. Amazing.
So I was doing writing for the Bernard H. Meyer watches. I was writing for the coins that we had at the time, all the numismatics. I was writing about the biodisc. I was writing about cheap pendant. I was writing about some other product like QVI. I was writing about It's fascinating because all I was doing was writing and writing and writing and writing. And then JR said, okay, I need you to go to Indonesia. We're doing, we have a sports sponsorship. At the time, we were sponsoring GP2 Asia. There was a racing team called QI. It was actually called QI Meritus Racing Team, and they were doing they had a race in what's the name of the track in Indonesia? Not Sepang. I can't remember. And when I walked into the canopy, like the VIP canopy, when I arrived in Jakarta, that's the first time I met Patman.
Wow.
Which was very interesting. Because at that time he was maybe 33, right? So from 2008, after that, I was then told, okay, you really need to understand the DNA of the company, understand who we are, what we do, and why we do what we do. And so Richard, by the way, Richard had nothing to do with like convincing people to hire me. He said, I want nothing to do with this. I'm not going to put any good word in. You fight. You fight for your relevance, and you fight for, to get a job. And if you don't make the cut, then you got to find something else. So I give a lot of credit to him because he didn't give me any favors.
Yeah.
Which forced me to fight for my relevance and forced me to show my value proposition to the company. But because he still loves and cares for me, and he cared for me at that time, he said, okay, you need to be in service. And I said, what is in service? And he explained the concept of in service in terms of how you're there. It's like volunteer, not really volunteer work, but you go to an event, like a VCon, and you set up the event, you make sure the event goes smooth, you do security, gatekeeping, whatever. So I said, well, okay. So I was, my first VCon, 2008, May, in Penang, I was in service. And Chief Patman made an exception because usually you have to do ISB.
Yes.
Which you just did recently.
Yes.
You have to do ISB before serving at VCon. So I was the one exception because I think that what Richard and actually Dr. Sri Vijay wanted to do was to inculcate as soon as possible so that I could become a person of value. And this is another thing. I remember my first meeting with Dr. Sri Vijay. It was right after the Jakarta thing when I met Patman, and then we had a board meeting in Bangkok. It was in the Millennium Hilton on the river. And I didn't attend the meeting. I was just kind of brand new in the company. And I showed up with jeans and a t-shirt. And I went to the rooftop to meet Dr. Sri Vijay. And it was the first time I met him. And it was like fascinating for me because I only heard my grandmother talk about him because he had spoken to my grandmother before she passed away. And he said to her, don't worry, I'll take good care of your son. So, and he stood by his word. Even today, Dr. Sri Vijay is taking care of Richard in terms of Richard's ego and his well-being and whatnot. So they're very close, very, very close. So it was the first time I met Dr. Sri Vijay. So I served at VCon, which was unbelievable because you get like 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night.
Wow.
You're arriving probably 4 days before the participants. You're twin sharing with somebody that you've never known before, and it was an IR. So all the IRs that are successful in the company, they are serving at VCon. So I twin shared with an IR from Indonesia, actually, Karyana. And every morning we wake up at 5:30, 6, in black cargo pants, t-shirt, and go over to the stadium and set everything up. Move chairs, roll out carpet, make sure there's no garbage anywhere, make sure that the doors are working, everything is ready for the participants. And we do that for 4 days. We go to bed maybe like 3:30, wake up at 6:30, and then the event, VCon happens. And imagine I was working with the staff in Bangkok, and I was assigned in service gatekeeping. Gatekeeper is basically the guy that opens the door. Okay? The guy that opens the door. So I'm standing here, this is the door. There's the booth, the product booths. You know the product booths at VCon?
Yeah, yeah.
And the staff are there looking at me, and it's like, it teaches you humility. Because you're literally having to stand there in a white t-shirt, black cargo pants, smile, welcome people in, and just stand there, open the door. It is the most humbling thing. Because people are giggling at, laughing at you, and I don't blend in. I'm in Penang, I don't exactly look like a local, right?
Yes.
So everybody's giggling, and it teaches you such great humility that if you look past the ego and you just focus on serving, it's the greatest feeling in the world. But it got to the point on the last day, the sessions would be going on inside the arena, and I'd be outside holding the door, and I'm falling asleep, and I had to walk because if not, I'd fall asleep. But I'd start hearing my name, and I'd look around, there'd be nobody there. So that was really weird. You are sleep deprived for those 8-9 days. You start going cuckoo.
Yeah.
And since then, Bala, it's just been an incredible rocket ship ride.
Yeah.
And it's only because of Dato Sri Vijay and the fact that he started this amazing company. And even just 2 days ago, we were in a board meeting with him. And his messaging has never freaking changed. Raise yourself to help mankind. Check your ego at the door, because your ego is the biggest hurdle to your success. I'm fascinated, and I'm so grateful, because going back to master plan, if my mom and my uncle did not immigrate from Poland to Canada, if my dad did not escape from Czechoslovakia to come to Canada, if they didn't meet, if Richard didn't meet Dato Sri Vijay by chance through some other network marketing connection to do the interview, and then Richard got hired as a CFO, then 2008 September, I'm working in the office, and this beautiful girl walks in, and it's like, she's short. I'm not really into short girls, but she was short, and she had big ears and a big head and a big beautiful smile, and I was just fascinated by her. And so we went on a date the next day, and then boom, 2012, married. 2014, our first daughter, Ariana. 2020, Eric. I'm just so grateful, because if it wasn't for Dato Sri Vijay starting this company, I wouldn't have met such a beautiful array of people. I mean, how is it that you, from war-torn Sri Lanka, moves to New Zealand, then goes to Australia, then ends up working with me?
Trevor Kuna is my boss.
No. Dato Sri is our boss. Dato Sri Vijay is our boss. We're just the students. We're the custodians. But I mean, what is this? I'm in Malaysia right now in QI freaking in the QI tower, which is our own tower, which was built by the IRs. This tower would not exist if it wasn't for the IRs around the world. So I have no reason to be upset about my life. I have no reason. And that's why I wake up every morning, I'm so freaking grateful. And I go to bed at night, I'm so freaking grateful, because I've got Dato Sri Vijay as my mentor. I've got Patman, JR, Kuna. I mean, even the V partners, I spend so much time with David Sharma, so much time with, with Adley, Sati. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, where else are you going to find such an incredible organization?
Yeah, and this is why we've really created this channel, for someone like yourself to share what we're doing.
By the way, I hope this is home pure water.
It is home pure water.
To home pure.
So, it's really about bringing people's stories to life, and we really appreciate what Trevor is sharing with us and really opening up. And
yeah, because Bala, sorry to interrupt, Bala, for the last 1 year has been asking me, what's your story? Why aren't you telling me your story, bro? I need to know your story. What's the real Trevor Kuna?
Yeah, this is it.
WYSIWYG is what my friend Ruth says. WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get.
So, to wrap this up today,
we're wrapping up already?
Yeah.
How much time do we have left? 5 more minutes.
We have 5 more minutes.
We got 5 more minutes.
Jeez, all right. Trevor, do you have a joke for us? Of all the years that you've been with us, how many years is it exactly you've been
2008, so 15.
15 years.
Well, now it's going on 16, right?
Do you feel like every year has
Oh my
gotten
God,
better?
hang on a second. It's 16 years. January 8th was my 16-year anniversary of being with the company.
Congratulations. We can say congratulations right here.
No cake? Where's the cake? There's a candle.
Anyone?
Yeah? What do you want to say, bro?
So anyway, this is one of the stories that we have. So we hope to have more people like Trevor Kuna, different people in different parts of the organization to really come in and share their stories. So you guys can really, you know, from the network perspective, from a corporate perspective, we're able to just elevate each other and embrace each other. You know, as Trevor has really shared with us that, you know, Dato Sri Vijay was a big part of his life and
continues to be,
and focuses on people itself. And he's one of the examples in our organization. So we're very thankful.
I'm very thankful. I'm so grateful for the belief that the network has in us, the IRs around the world, the belief they have in us, the love and adoration they have for Dato Sri Vijay. I love the fact that we have a diverse group of leaders in the company. Yourself, me, you know, Amro, Ramya, Naresh, Vinu, Danny, Ivan, you know, Nikhil, David Sharma, Adli, you know, Dave Joel, Agatha, Roxanne. I mean, the list can go on and on. How many people's lives have been touched by this company? Not only out there in the network, but in corporate. We just finished ICE, which is the Inner Circle Elite. It's an important reminder of what is our duty in corporate to the network. So I'm very grateful that Dato Sri has entrusted us with that incredible responsibility. So anyway, Bala, I really appreciate you putting this together. I hope you have 80 to 90 more episodes, and I hope that people spend a lot of time understanding the real stories behind the real people that run this place and that make it successful. So thank you very much for putting it together. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And thank you for watching.
Hopefully more of you can join us so you can come here and share your stories. It doesn't have to be as, you know, Trevor is our chief of reputation and transformation. But we also want to have different people that are in the organization that are doing multiple roles, because every single person is a big part of how this company grows. You know, from your lower level management to your CEOs, to your directors, to your starting out networker, to even our partners that we partner with. So the importance of really embracing one another, no matter who you are, where you're from. Real Vibes is a place for you, and we want to share love for you guys and what you guys do for us, and really embrace this aspect. So let's wrap it up. Please join us again, and we'll see you soon. Ciao. Thank you.